Hello, welcome to my channel, Mind Mastery for Wealth, an innovative educational and research company that focuses on an integrated holistic approach to help human beings create and achieve their life and business goals in the areas of financial, wealth creation, health and well-being, as well as personal growth and empowerment. My name is Rose Thompson, and I'm the founder and CEO of Mind Mastery for Wealth, MM4W for short. Happy New Year, everyone. Let me use this opportunity to wish you and your families great health and wealth for this new year, considered to be the Golden Jubilee year. I'm strongly believing that Nesara, GCR, the formal announcement for Nesara, GCR, will be made during this Golden Jubilee year. And I would be happy, super happy, if the formal announcement is made within the first quarter of 2023. The year 2022 was a very, very challenging year. I learned many valuable lessons and gained valuable insights. However, I am fully aware that many persons may have experienced significant challenges in the areas of financial, myself included, health-related issues, and there are other persons who may have lost loved ones. For persons who have lost loved ones, you have my support. In this video, I would like to share with you current events that are unfolding that could potentially signal the ongoing implementation of the key benefits that will be made available to us under Nesara, GESARA. I'll also use this video to perform a quick review of the current events I shared in my last video, especially for the persons who are new to my channel. Including in this review, I'll provide a brief overview of Nesara, GCR. I'll also share how the quantum financial system is organized in terms of the portals and the various countries within these portals. For me, on January 1st, 2023, all banks, internationally active banks, were required to be Basel IV compliant. It's very personal for me because my doctoral, my dissertation is situated within the context of Basel III. I'll share some information on that, and I'll prompt you while I'm sharing that information, how you can start to think about, if you haven't already, sharing your knowledge with others and potentially monetize this knowledge. I'll end this video by sharing the content, some of the content we use at Mind Mastery for Wealth to help persons develop a mindset of possibilities and abundance. Your mind is probably the most valuable asset we have. And it is just very critical. It's very important for you to embrace, or for us to embrace, the right mindset during this great transformative period. Let me go ahead and share my slides with you with the key benefits while I discuss the related current events that are unfolding that could potentially signal what we've been waiting on, the ongoing implementation of these key benefits, and we're looking forward to the formal announcement of Nesara, GESARA. Nesara, GESARA. Nesara is specific to the US and represents the most groundbreaking reformation to occur not only in the US, but throughout our planet and throughout its entire history. Nesara is abbreviated for National Economic Security and Reformation Act. There are some sources that have this abbreviation as National Economic Stabilization and Recovery Act. Either abbreviation is the same in terms of the, or similar in terms of the benefits that are covered under Nesara. GESARA is the global version of this act and appear to have been included recently. It is my understanding that based on the amount of wealth that has been recovered that will be made available for redistribution, all the countries could have been covered. We are on the cusp of what is considered to be the golden age of peace and prosperity. And many persons have worked behind the scenes for decades to bring Nesara into being. Based on the events that are unfolding, I believe that Nesara and now GCR, the formal announcement will be made within this year, which is considered to be the Golden Jubilee year. And included in Nesara, GCR is a revaluation of currency where all currencies in the world, I should say the 209 signatories to GESARA, as well as Nesara, which is specific to the US, their currencies will be revalued and reset in what is considered to be the global currency reset, where the value of each nation's currency will be restored to parity. That is, all currencies will equal to 1-to-1 with each other. For example, 1 sterling pound, sterling pound will be equivalent to 1 US dollar. 1 Canadian dollar will be equivalent to 1 US dollar. So think about the currencies in the world. They will go 1-to-1 with each other. That is considered to be leveling the playing field. Just think about the implication of that for trade and for asset prices. Included in the revaluation, and this is my understanding, that the prices of assets as well as goods and services will be revalued. Let me say that the countries that are signatories to Nesara, GESARA, the restoration of the value of their currency will occur through what is considered to be the cross-border interbank payment system, CIPS. And this will be facilitated by the quantum financial system. I understand that the quantum financial system resides on the blockchain platform. I do not have any information or evidence to confirm this. It is my understanding. So to come back to the revaluation, this revaluation of currencies, there is also the expectation that the prices of assets as well as goods and services will be revalued. For example, the prices of houses will be revalued, and several sources are suggesting that the prices could be revalued to the 1950s prices that is adjusted for inflation. I'm quite sure other sources are suggesting that the prices could be revalued at the 1970s prices. I'm supportive of the 1970s prices because the US was taken off the gold standard in 1971. So really exciting period, really exciting times. I am believing to continue in 2023 with a formal announcement for Nesara and GESARA. There are approximately 20 key benefits that will be available to us under Nesara, GESARA. I cover the key benefits in a 4-part series, and for part 1, I cover the financial and health related benefits. Part 2, the tax related benefits are covered in this video. Part 3 focuses on legal and election related matters as well as financial privacy. And part 4 covered activities to end military action worldwide. This is very important. Establishes peace and prosperity with the release of enormous sums of money for humanitarian purposes. And a number of persons, including myself, are waiting on this release of funds for our humanitarian related projects. So exciting times, and we're really looking forward to this formal announcement of Nesara, GESARA. There are these 4 key benefits are very related. And let me highlight that the information that I'm sharing in this video and my other videos are for educational purposes only. I'm not operating as a financial advisor, tax professional, or medical doctor. I'm suggesting for your financial investment decisions that you may be considering, you consult a financial advisor. For your tax-related matters, I'm suggesting that you consult a tax professional. I'm aware that tax-related matters are also covered by a financial advisor. However, you may wish to consult a tax professional as well. And for your medical related decisions, I'm suggesting you consult your medical doctor. The first key benefit is very important, and it involves what is considered to be a debt jubilee or forgiveness of debt. Many persons are saying we shouldn't have it, it shouldn't really be forgiven, because based on the fractional reserve banking system, where the loans were made on fiat currency, not backed by physical assets, then the loans were really illegal in the first place. The interest, though, if these loans were backed by physical assets, they would have been legal. However, it is my understanding that the interest portion should not have been made on these loans, and that is what makes these loans illegal banking and government-related activities. So the categories of loans that will be canceled or zeroed out are credit cards, mortgages, student loans, and other bank debts, to include car loans and car leases. This is indeed the Federal Reserve worst nightmare. You can think about the implications for this and the profit that accrues from the interest to the Federal Reserve System. So the Nesara was developed many, many years ago, and as stated here, this is how the benefit is presented. However, several sources are suggesting that there may be revision to the Act, and for credit cards, mortgages, car loans, car leases, it is the interest portion that will be refunded to the borrowers. That's one scenario. And also for student loans, the student loans is probably the only category of loans that will be canceled or zeroed out, with the principal and interest paid to date returned to the borrowers. And this is because it's my understanding that students' education should have been free. So I am observing to see how this unfolds. In terms of current events that could potentially signal that this benefit is being implemented for the student loan, mainly the continuous conversation about the student loan with the case now at the Supreme Court to decide, and the continual pause of the payment could potentially signal that the implementation of this key benefit. Recognize that the pause has been in place and keep extending for well over 2 years now. I have not observed any key recent information on the credit card, mortgage, bank loans, and leases. Earlier on, sometime last year, there was some information that related to the removal of medical related balances from the credit report. So we continue to observe for the other categories of loans. Key benefits 2, 3, and 4, where the U.S. Treasury Bank system, a new U.S. Treasury Bank system is being initiated, and this and the elimination of the Federal Reserve System. It's my understanding that the Federal Reserve System has been backed into the U.S. Treasury for over 2 years. There was a 1-year transitional period, and that year expired sometime, I'm thinking last year. But this new U.S. Treasury banking system is the quantum financial system, and it is not specific. It is the international banking system I spoke to earlier that will be that SIPS, the quantum financial system, will facilitate the money financial related activities. So there are several sources that are indicating that the switch has been made to the quantum financial system. The quantum financial system had been integrated with the legacy traditional banking system, and it is believed that within this month it should become public. I'll continue to observe and see how that unfolds. So it's very critical. The elimination, let me say that slowly, of the Federal Reserve System is so very critical, because the Federal Reserve System is really not a part of the federal government. It is owned by private bankers. And the US note, which has been changed, I'll come to 4, actually says Federal Reserve notes. And what occurs is that the Federal Reserve System lends money to the government and charges interest on the loan. So that is all what also contributes to this illegal banking and government activities. So it's very critical. And it is my understanding as well that the Federal Reserve System, there were 3 attempts to remove it. And some sources, or several sources, are saying this is the last attempt, because this is really giving back the power to the people. So think about the implication of taking away this system from private bankers. So we are, every indication is suggesting that we are there. Coming to 4, where the Nesara, GESARA creates new, well, Nesara in this case, new U.S. Treasury rainbow currency that is backed by gold, silver, platinum, and other precious metals. This is very, very key. And I have an evidence I'll share with you for the U.S. note. and I will share with you the activities on the for the other. On the GESARA, GESARA appears to take the lead for backing their currencies with, well, the countries on the GESARA backing their currencies with gold and other assets. Of currencies with gold or silver appears to have started with the BRICS country. BRICS abbreviated to be Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Let me also include that Iran and Argentina, it is my understanding, have officially applied to join BRICS, and Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Egypt, Venezuela, Mexico have signaled their intent to join. Several sources are suggesting that Saudi Arabia has already joined. I do not have any evidence to support or confirmation for that. And in terms of the parity, we've seen the British pound and euro collapse against the US dollar sometime last year, and the yen, there's also movements on the yen as well as the New Zealand dollar. So the movement towards parity for currencies have already started. I am going to try to include the months as best as I possibly can in discussing the countries that have had movements with their currency. So in December 2022, Russia and India indicated that they would no longer use the dollar and euro for trade. It's very important for international trade. The two countries have decided to switch to their national currency in order to address their trade imbalances. So that occurred in December. But what is very important, in as far back as April 2022, Russia took the lead and announced that it would back its ruble by gold. In fact, it demanded payment for oil in the ruble, which is now backed by gold. That's very interesting. In December 2022, the Bank of England indicated that their changes to the existing design for the 5, 10, 20, and 50 pound notes, and they would now issue polymer plastic notes for these pounds. So that's it for England. In October, Nigeria Central Bank made a decision to recall their high-value banknotes and replace them with newly designed ones. This should have occurred in mid-December. And in October, Venezuela issued a new currency that had 6 fewer zeros. And as far back as July 2022, Zimbabwe issued gold coins that can be used both domestically and internationally. I've recently, it is my recent understanding, or this is recent information, let me say, that Zimbabwe's currency will be backed by diamond. What is very interesting about Zimbabwe is that given all its wealth of natural resources, Zimbabwe may well emerge as the richest nation in Africa. And this probably will be the great reversals where the nationals of Zimbabwe will want to return to Zimbabwe to help in building their country to develop world standard. It's also my understanding that all countries on this planet will be developed to, well, first world standard and that is over a period of time. So very interesting for Zimbabwe. I am observing to see how this unfolds. And in terms of the central banks and stockpiling on gold, China and Russia has been in November 22, Ghana's new policy indicated that they'll buy all products with gold rather than the US dollar reserve. And in December, Australia's sovereign wealth fund started to buy gold or continue with their acquisition of gold in order to mitigate the events that occurred in the 1970s. So very interesting for on the currency side, just information that is supporting that these currencies are being backed by gold. For the US, this is very informative. The House of Representatives, this bill, HR 9157, was submitted on the 7th of October. And what it does, it defines the dollar as a fixed weight of gold and for other purposes. So think about it. Just, I mean, this is just really enormous information. And this is, think about the implication for inflation as we are currently experiencing. Think about the implication for the federal debt and the stability of the monetary system. So in essence, this is also reflective of the reset, the global currency reset, where the countries, the 209 signatories to GESARA, will go to parity, 1-to-1, leveling the playing field or near parity with the new US gold asset-backed currency. And the currency will either be in the form of paper, physical note, or digital. I should say both. What I'm going to make a key distinction here for the digital currency. Key is that the digital currency must be backed by gold or other assets. And I'm aware of the crypto situation. If a cryptocurrency is not backed by gold or asset, then that is what is being collapsed along with the fiat currency that is being collapsed. So persons who are into crypto, be very aware of this situation, because that is the whole purpose of collapsing the fiat dollar. I want to share a bit of information here on this bill, and I'm going to read. It says, this bill requires the Department of the Treasury to define the Federal Reserve note dollar in terms of a fixed weight of gold based on that day's closing market price of gold. Federal Reserve banks must exchange Federal Reserve notes with gold at this price. Let me repeat. Federal Reserve banks must exchange Federal Reserve notes with gold at this price. If a Federal Reserve bank does not do this, Treasury must make any exchange and place a corresponding lien on the assets of that bank. In addition, Treasury and the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve must report the U.S. gold holdings. It's very important. And just remember that the Federal Reserve bank or system was backed into the U.S. Treasury. This bill was first introduced in March 22nd, 2018, and it introduced as bill as HR 5404 to define the dollar as a fixed weight of gold. The submission as HR 9157 1957 had a little bit of addition on it, and it included "and for other purposes." So good evidence, as I shared in my prior video, that there is action to move or to back the new USN currency with gold or other, well, gold in this instance, as is indicated here in the HR 9157. Several sources refer to this as the Gold Standard Restoration Act. However, it's not even a standard. It is where the currency, the US, will be backed by gold, and I leave open or other assets. Since the introduction of this bill in October 2022, there have been some activities which include two co-sponsors. The first co-sponsor was added on the 7th of November 2022, and the second on the 17th of November 2022. Interesting for the 7 and 17. Throughout the presentation, I will state sources suggest without identifying or naming these sources. And I'm doing this deliberately because it is important for you to question everything and everyone. It's also important for you to review available information. I welcome the opportunity to discuss with anyone good quality information that you find that is not consistent with the information that I'm sharing in this video. I'm also not identifying the sources because it is so important for you to develop your own critical thinking. And when I review information from several sources before coming to a position, from sources that both support and do not support a particular position. I observe the events for a period of time before I come to a position. So therefore, I do not create videos very often because my focus is really on the implementation of the key benefits on the Nesara, GESARA, and the quantum financial system, as well as quantum healing. The information is not does not come daily. So therefore my videos are not very, I do not create videos very often. So I wanted to share that with you. Very important to develop your own critical thinking. So we're excited to share this information with you on the Basel IV requirements for banks, which became effective on January 1st, 2023. This requirement is for internationally active banks that have assets of 100 billion and more, to maintain minimum regulatory capital requirements as well as liquidity requirements. And I'm excited because my dissertation, my doctoral work, my dissertation is situated within the context of Basel III at the time. So the Basel III is actually an internationally agreed set of measures developed by the Basel Committee on Banking Supervision. And Basel Committee on Banking Supervision is a part of Bank for International Settlements, BIS. Bank for International Settlements is located in Basel, Switzerland, and it is the representative of the central banks for all central banks in the world. That means the Federal Reserve System, which is the equivalent of central banks in other countries, reports to the BIS, the Bank for International Settlement. So this publication is Basel III finalizing post-crisis reform, issued in December 2017. And the post-crisis, the crisis which they're basically referring to is the global financial crisis of 2007 to 2009. Very exciting for me because included in this, the key areas covered in Basel 3.1, some countries refer to this as Basel 3.1 or Basel 4, Basel, same thing. The key areas is an approach, a standardized approach for the calculation of credit risk, internal base approaches for credit risk, and then for minimum capital requirements for credit valuation adjustments, speaking to mark-to-market for mark-to-market for securities, and then the minimum capital requirements for operational risk. And operational risk is really my focus of study. So I'm very excited to see this, to discuss this here. I had not foreseen sharing information on my doctoral work on this video. I thought I probably would have to create another channel. So I'm also prompting you as you think about this new golden age of peace and prosperity, and some people may want to do entrepreneurial activities or continue, how you can leverage your knowledge or share your knowledge with others and potentially monetize that your knowledge. So Mind Mastery takes an integrated approach to helping human beings, individuals, and I would say corporate, for this side of my expertise. So I'm truly, truly excited to share this information with you. I got the opportunity to include this in this video. And so there is leverage ratio, to come back to this, and there's also liquidity coverage. But the aim essentially is to ensure that there is minimum level of regulatory capital for key areas, credit market, operational risk, to absorb any losses that could potentially occur, especially in periods of crisis. So the losses are not borne by the taxpayers as experienced in 2007, 2009 global financial crisis. Hence the further development or further requirement for banks to hold additional minimum regulatory capital as well as liquidity to cover their position. So really exciting for me to have been able to include in the conversation information on one of the key events that occurred on, well, the requirement for banks to be Basel IV compliant on January 1st, 2023. As a matter of fact, the requirement was for January 1st, 2022. It was delayed by a year. Maybe it was intended for this to occur in this golden jubilee year. Things move in cycles. And so here there are a number of banks I understand that were not Basel IV compliant. And I would imagine that they did not have enough capital to meet their minimum regulatory requirements. And in this high interest rate period, that would have required them to borrow additional funds to cover, to meet the minimum required minimum requirement, capital requirement, and additional cost of funding has implication for the bottom line. So here's what I also should have highlighted, that given what is the events that are occurring behind the scenes, how very different my results would be, because the activities that are unfolding in this great plan in the background, I would not necessarily have captured those data in my firm-related variables and my broader macro variables. But and yeah, I'm very well aware that the unexplained variables I could have probably are due, but not necessarily just given the context, because the firms that are operating within this period are operating in a period or within a context that there's a different environment that is unfolding unknown to most persons. I can't think of a variable that I could possibly capture these activities in, totally hidden, I would say. And an exciting thing for me is that on the capital market, and I looked at both equities and debt, look at what is happening on the capital market, almost as though it is controlled. How does one capture this in one study? So it's really, really exciting for me to have the opportunity to observe the events, both equities and debt, cap market, debt market, in the present form, as opposed to collecting data historically. Really, really exciting period for me. And I'm curious as to how these events will be recorded historically. I'm going to share with you a source. Yes, I'm going to deviate where the Swiss National Bank, as I'm discussing the Basel related requirement, where Swiss National Bank, for the first time in 116 years, experienced a loss. Let me share this article. Let me deviate and let me share the source with you. So this article is very recent, dated January 9th, reporting by CNBC that Swiss Central Bank posts biggest loss in its 116 year. And the key points is that the Swiss National Bank expects a 143 billion loss for the 2022 financial year, the biggest loss in its 116-year loss. Zeroing on this key point, it lost 131 billion francs on foreign currency positions and a 1 billion on Swiss franc position as the franc gain. I'm not suggesting that this loss is as a result of the Swiss franc or the franc going to parity 1-for-1. I'd just like to highlight this as a potential event that could signal that the ongoing parity is being or the currencies are being revalued to set at parity, because I mean, just at this point in time, first time in 116-year history, so just think about that. And as a result of this, it will not make its usual payout to the Swiss government and member states. So it's very interesting that this Swiss Central Bank is experiencing a loss at this point in its history. And let me also highlight that in 2021, the bank reported a 26 billion franc profit. So I'm observing to see if there are going to be further information on this. on this, any other central banks reporting any related losses due to their forex position. I'd like to highlight as well that the global currency reset means that trading forex or foreign exchange for profit will have little value, as the reset will stabilize currencies and not be subject to currency manipulation by any government or corporation. So I wanted to highlight that at this point in my discussion. Continuing with the key benefits that will be available to us under Nesara, GESARA, and discussing the current events that are unfolding. I have good evidence to share with you, and yes, I'll deviate and share the source with you for key benefit 5, 6, and 7, where Nesara, GESARA abolishes the income tax and abolishes the IRS, Internal Revenue Service. Just remember that these key benefits are developed on the Nesara. However, the GESARA mirrors these key benefits. So, and the IRS, Internal Revenue Service, is specific to the US. Just replaces the equivalent entity that administers income tax in your country with this entity. For example, I think it's the CRA in Canada, and maybe Inland Revenue Services in the UK. So the key benefit is that income tax will be abolished, the IRS will be abolished, the employees of IRS will be transferred into the US Treasury National Sales Tax area, and this is because more resources will be required there, because for 14% to some sources are suggesting as high as 17% flat rate on non-essential new items only. And this will provide sales tax revenue for the government. No more income tax. So the sales tax here, 14 or 17%. And I'm going to share with you a minute evidence that is supporting or signaling, as I like to say, that the implementation of these 3 key benefits. And then for benefit number 8, where Nesara, GESARA increases benefits to senior citizens. A few sources are stating that effective January 1, Social Security recipients should receive a letter indicating a significant increase in Social Security benefits that is not related to cost of living. Cost of living increases. If there's anyone that's watching this video has any information or has received Social Security benefits with an significant increase that is not related to cost of living, and would like to share that in the comments, I'd so appreciate that. So this key benefit is very significant, because just think about not having to pay income tax effectively. That's representing an increase in salary at the respective rate of tax in your respective countries. So let me share with you now the evidence that is signaling that these 3 benefits, 5, 6, and 7, are indeed being implemented. Yes, I'm deviating and sharing the source to encourage you that the benefits events are unfolding that are signaling that these benefits potentially are being implemented. So this is very recent. This is dated January 10th. Caption: House Republicans to vote on bill abolishing IRS, eliminating income tax, This is being reported by Fox, and I'm going to read this sentence. It says, Republicans in the House of Representatives will vote on a bill that would abolish the Internal Revenue Service, IRS, eliminate the national income tax, and replace it with a national consumption tax. Doesn't this mirror the three key benefits I shared with you a moment ago on the last slide? We persons may or may not be aware, everything has to be done by law. We are told that we are observing a scripted play, perhaps. This is 5D, grand 5D chess being played. So this could very well be optics, has to be recorded, has to be shown. And there is information that suggests that this has already occurred, but this has to be shown to the public. So this is evidence that is signaling that the key benefits I shared on my last slide is being are being implemented. And here's a key that the House GOP pushed to block the hiring of 87,000 new IRS agents and a new rules package. So that there was this 87,000 agents being hired. Here is a note on that as well. So very key evidence to support the implementation of the key benefits on the Nesara, GESARA. I've returned to this slide because I'm going to share with you now the quantum information for the quantum financial system, the new international banking system, the portals, the 4 portals that are organized in the quantum financial system and the countries that are organized in each portal. Remember, this is a review. For greater details, these key benefits, the financial are covered in part 1. The tax related are covered in part 2. So I'm going to encourage you to review those 4-part series and then the other related videos. For my purpose for creating Mind Mastery, I have shared that in my introductory video. I'm going to encourage you as well to view that video. So there are, coming back to the portals now, there are 4 portals in the quantum financial system. Portal number 1 has the USTN or USN portal. And the countries in this portal is the Canada. Countries are Canada, America, and South America. All the countries in South America. So locally, each country will have its own national sovereign currency and will be one-to-one with the USN note or currency. For example, Argentina and Chile's peso will be one-to-one with the US dollar, and the Brazilian real will also be one-to-one with the US dollar. Venezuela as well. One region I have not seen anything on is the Caribbean. And I'm thinking that this is the portal that the Caribbean islands countries will be placed in, mainly because of the proximity to America. I'm going to observe and see how this unfolds. For the second portal, which is the European portal, the countries will be Spain, Italy, Portugal, France, Germany. All of the European nations, including Scandinavia. So they'll go one-to-one and have their currencies at the local level. So in essence, there's going to be a depegging from the euro. And so Spain will revert to its peseta, Italy the lira, France, the franc, and Germany, the Deutschmark. Very interesting because my understanding is that once the green light, and sometime in October, I was convinced that the formal announcement was going to be made for Nesara, GESARA, because there was an indication that the green light was given, but the green light was given for the currencies for the BRICS nation. And this is interesting because the green light acted as a test for the BRICS nation. Brazil in that first portal, in the USN portal, Russia in the European. And the source did not mention anything about Russia, but I'm thinking that Russia will be in the European portal. I'll remain open, but that appears to the most appropriate portal for Russia to be in. So yeah, to come back, my understanding is that the USN note is what is being waited on, and the moment the portal has been turned on for the USN with the USN note, then the US dollar, now, not the USN note, will no longer have any value. And I'm thinking that the same thing will occur for the euro. So very significant for the euro and the US. That's turning on of the USN portal. I guess the tests occurred for using the BRICS country for the other portals. So this takes me now to the third portal, which is the United Kingdom. And there will be a sterling token. Lots of talk about token. The United Kingdom to include England, or including England, Scotland, Ireland, and Wales. There may be addition to this portal. Let's observe and see how this unfolds. And the fourth and final portal is that of Asia, Africa, and Australasia. Each section, for example, India, Pakistan, all countries in Africa and Australasia, that is Australia, New Zealand, New Guinea, and the neighboring islands in the Pacific Ocean will plug into this portal. Each section will have their own local currency. And what is very key is that they'll also have a gold bullion exchange bank. This is my understanding. Now, the name may change, but this is my understanding. And the gold bullion exchange bank is to back the position for each of the countries, their currency. The gold asset that is within the banks will not just be refined, but they will be serialized and nonatic so that current governments cannot take these assets. They'll be easily detected by the quantum system. And this is great on transparency because each country will know what each country's or the other country's position is in the quantum financial, because of the quantum financial system. So this is really awesome. It is my understanding that the green light for the goal for the quantum financial system is waiting on the USN note. The notes, I understand, are already plugged into the system. It is the green light that is being waited on to for the signal to go. So very interesting. I'm really excited about this period. And I strongly believe that somewhere within this first quarter, we may just get the formal announcement for Nesara, GESARA. This key benefit on the Nesara, GESARA relates to health and wellness, the healthcare system, and it enables the release of over 6,000 patents of suppressed technologies withheld from the public, to include free energy devices and sonic healing machines, I'm very well, very much interested in this sonic healing machines, the medbeds, energy related therapeutics, natural healing. And I expect that the work of the great inventor and scientist Nikola Tesla, as an extraordinary source of inspiration for me, as well as the work of Wilhelm Reich, will be made available through these 6,000 patents. Their work in terms of energy focus mainly on, yeah, so their work focus on energy. And you may be aware that Nikola Tesla wanted to give us free energy. He wanted to give humanity energy for free or at a minimum cost, and this was not allowed to happen. So this in this great period of peace and prosperity, I anticipate that the work of Nikola Tesla and Wilhelm Reich, along with others, will be made available to us. I do not yet have good information that I'm comfortable with or sharing with you about medbeds. As soon as this become available, I will share that in a video. I'll also, because I'm very fascinated with the natural healing modalities, and through my work at my Mastery for Wealth, energy as it relates to health and wellness. I'll also cover that. So two key are the quantum financial system, the financial monetary related benefits because of my work, my work, my career and practice in that area, as well as the sonic healing or natural energy related therapeutics. One key evidence or event that occurred in December is the announcement of nuclear fusion energy as a breakthrough by this was a major announcement by scientists. So I am observing to see what other announcements are made for that will be potentially related to free energy for us. It is my understanding that the cell towers have been retrofitted to receive Tesla free energy, so it can be used in all homes. I do not have any evidence to support that. I continue to observe to see how that unfolds. And this leads me now into how I'd like to close with work from my mastery. I'll end by sharing the content that we use at my Mastery for Wealth to help individuals create and achieve a mindset that thinks in terms of possibilities and abundance. Our mind is the most valuable asset that we have, and our mindset assists significantly in creating and achieving the experiences that we desire to have in our lives. Here are two giants on whose shoulders I've stood on to have developed my own mindset that think in terms of possibilities and abundance. Nikola Tesla, I lead with his words, and I'm going to quote, "If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration." It is all about energy, or thoughts, or ideas, or beliefs. And it is important that we tune exactly to the frequency of that which we would like to achieve. My focus is on wealth creation. Therefore, I have developed a wealth consciousness, and I vibrate on the frequency of wealth. I use a model, ask, believe, receive, ask for what I want, be very clear about what I want, believe that I with absolute unshakable faith that I'm going to have it, and I assume the feeling that I have already achieved that which I want. And those are the guidance from Neville Goddard. So here's James. He is considered to be the father of American psychology, and there is information to suggest he was the first person to offer a course on psychology. And I think he offered that at Harvard University. So here he is saying that the greatest discovery of my generation is that a human being can alter his life by altering his attitudes. And attitudes, he's speaking to your mindset. So within our control, we can design, create, and achieve the experiences that we wish to have. Wealth, health, and anything that you so desire. And James has so graciously offered a method by which we can, supporting my ask, believe, receive model. He says, we need only in cold blood act, and act is in capital, as if the thing in question were real. Keep acting as if it were real practice, and it will infallibly end by growing into such a connection with our life that it becomes real. I have experimented with this, I have practiced, and I can tell you that it works. There's no greater joy that you can have or evidence for yourself is to take the method, work with it, and test it for yourself. I'd love to hear from you. And of course, this is just this for yourself. This is just to share with you the content that we use at Mind Mastery for Wealth to help individuals create a mindset of abundance, possibilities and abundance, and to highlight that Tesla, this is a very, he actually is sharing the secret of creation with you. There is information that suggests that Tesla may have been the most advanced human being to have entered Earth, and it is very likely that he may have penetrated source. So if he says, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration, then I'm suggesting that you test this for yourself and prove it for yourself. We're living on one of the most influential timelines in modern history, and the events that are unfolding in this master plan, in this 5D game of chess, is absolutely remarkable. The brilliance of the execution of the strategy is amazing, and I'm really happy, and I feel humbled and I'm blessed to have had the opportunity to be aware and to be observing these events as they are unfolding. I'm curious, and I hope I'm given the opportunity to read how they are recorded in history. The events I've shared with you provide good evidence that of the ongoing implementation of the key benefits that will be available to us under Nesara, GESARA. And I'm confident that in this golden age of, or golden jubilee year, this golden age of peace and prosperity, the formal announcement of Nesara, GESARA will be made. I have placed in the description below this video the contact details that we can be reached with any inquiry you may have about the information I've shared in this video and my other videos. I've also placed in the description below this video the website address of Mind Mastery for Wealth. It has great information to help you to start to develop a mindset in terms of possibilities and abundance that is so critical to not only navigate during this great period of wealth, but it's also important to flourish and thrive during this great period. If we are surrounded with abundance and we are not vibrating at the frequency of abundance, we're not going to be able to tap into that we're not going to be able to tap into abundance. So it's important to embrace a mindset of abundance and also possibilities. I'm going to encourage you to share this video with any persons you believe the content may add value to their lives. And if you have not already done so, I'm going to ask you to subscribe to my channel. I'm going to ask you as well to like the video. I understand it allows the algorithm to reach more persons, and that is the intent, my intent, to reach as many persons as possible. Thank you so much for watching my video, and I look forward to sharing more information on the events that are unfolding that potentially signal the ongoing implementation of the key benefits under Nesara GESARA, and I look forward to sharing the formal announcement of Nesara GESARA with you. Again, thank you so much for visiting my channel.